We're located in Dallas, Texas. It's around 8:40 a.m. Central Time, and these two, Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier, are still employed. I'm here to ask the question, how is that possible? I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today. The clown show needs to end. And I'll be real with all the Dolphins fans watching today's video. I arguably feel more angry, upset, however you want to phrase it, about the Dolphins' current situation than I did, or this morning, than I did yesterday. Because the more you think about what has gone on with Miami, the more you get upset. And the more you think about it, the more you're like, how in the world are they still at their jobs and hold their current positions? Because there is no other job in the world where you could have as little success as what Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel have had over the past 2 seasons, coupled with the dysfunction happening in Miami, and still have your job. If you were doing this poorly as a car salesman, and there were unbelievable dysfunction leadership qualities in yourself as well, you wouldn't hold your job. But the question I'm asking is to Dolphins owner Stephen Ross. Do you care? Because every moment that passes that these two still are employed tells me you do not care. It's just the truth. I tweeted this out last Monday morning. Every day the Dolphins still employ Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier is another slap in the face to Miami Dolphins fans. Because as long as those two hold their current positions, Miami will never be a serious organization or a well-run organization. So you have to bite the bullet. You have to rip the Band-Aid off. Fire them both. Full reset. Will it change anything for this season? No, it will not. But it's the first step, and a lot of steps required to send this team in the right direction once again. More coming up here, but subscribe to the channel today because we put out daily Dolphins content, 2 videos every day. We're live for every Dolphins game. We will be live for the Mike McDaniel / Chris Grier firing. Hopefully they happen sooner rather than later. Hopefully they happen at the same time. We have 76,384 subscribers. Need 116 to get to 76,500. Hit that sub button and join the channel. I don't know how many times I can say this, but the Dolphins' loss was on coaching once again. Is it always on coaching? No, because I'll explain more here in a second. I think Mike McDaniel's actually had one of his better seasons as a Dolphin head coach in terms of his play calling. But when you factor in everything else, it just is going off the rails. But let's look at the third quarter from yesterday. This is all you need to know, in my opinion. It really is. The Dolphins played a really solid first half, despite a missed field goal, despite an early interception, in both of those cases setting the Chargers up with the ball around midfield. Miami was able to lead at the break 13-9. Defense did a phenomenal job not giving up a touchdown in the first 30 minutes. The offense was able to take advantage and go up 13-9, like I mentioned. But in the third quarter, you had negative 11 yards, got outgained 155 to negative 11, outscored 14-0, only held the football offensively for 3 minutes and 6 seconds, running 6 plays. So they ran 6 plays for negative 11 yards and held the ball for 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Coming out that flat in the second half and being dominated as they were in that first 15 minutes of the second half, that is all on coaching. It is. The adjustments that Jim Harbaugh made from halftime on outclassed Mike McDaniel. Outclassed him. I know the halftime adjustment period is probably overblown by media and fans, and players have said that people think there's meetings and screams happening at halftime. For the most part, that isn't true. But then why is it so consistent to where Miami comes out and gets blown off the handle in the second half? Going into week 6, the Dolphins were the second worst team in the NFL in point differential in the second half. They were a negative 31, minus 31 point differential in the second half this season. The only team worse than them, Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. And then you can add another minus 6 onto it yesterday. Up by 4, lost by 2. It's just second half coaching. It's the lack of preparation. It's the lack of focus, lack of attention to detail. All of that stems from your head coach. And it does kind of suck because Mike McDaniel is actually really good at one part of his job, which is being an offensive coordinator and play caller. Now, he obviously isn't an offensive coordinator for the team. That's Frank Smith. But McDaniel implements the offensive scheme and game plan alongside his offensive coaches like Smith, like Darrell Bevel, like Bobby Slowick, and he calls the plays. I think he does a great job. You take away week 1 against the Colts, where they scored 8 points. What has Mike McDaniel's offense done this year? 27 in week 2 against the Patriots, 21 against the Bills in week 3, 27 against the Jets in week 4, 24 against the Panthers in week 5, 27 against the Chargers in week 6. So in 5 straight weeks, they've scored at least 21 points or more. 3 of those weeks scoring 27 points. Offense is good, despite having an abysmal offensive line for most of it. The part is not qualified to be a head coach of an NFL organization. He is going to be a terrific offensive coordinator for another football team next season. And I think a million teams will sign up for him to be their OC. But he can't be the overarching leader of an organization. And that's just abundantly clear. Pin comment on today's show. One word on the Miami Dolphins. There's a lot of words at your disposal. There's a lot of different choices, a lot of great choices. Let me know yours down below. We'll move over from Mike McDaniel to Chris Grier. Because I'm very critical of Mike McDaniel, but I also know he's good at being an offensive play caller, which is what I just gave him props for. What I can't fathom is Chris Grier still being here. I can't do it. He has been the Miami Dolphins general manager since January 4th, 2016. That is when he was promoted to his current position. And since that, he is, the Dolphins are 76 and 78 in the regular season. So a 500 ball club. They are 0-3 in the playoffs, which means in the 9 completed seasons, 2016 to 2024, since he's been GM, they've made the playoffs only 3 out of the 9 years. But they have not won a game. There has been 3 different head coaches under Chris Grier. Adam Gase, Brian Flores, and now Mike McDaniel. And I went back and charted every NFL draft from 2016 to 2022 or 2025. And I actually took the 25 draft class out of it because their stories are still to be written. But I charted 21 out of 62 picks from 2016 to 2024 being successful. So about a 33% successful hit rate in the draft. I don't get it. I don't. 500, haven't won a playoff game, 3 different head coaches, and a 30% hit rate on their draft picks. What else can you say? How is he still here? Because I'll tell you what, folks, most general managers, they only get 2 head coaches. At most, 2 head coaches. That third one is when you get the hook pulled. You don't have another GM in the NFL employed as long as Chris Grier has been with the lack of playoff success. 0-3 in the playoffs, and he's still here at his job. What if I told you that you can hold your current position and have no success, but you will continue to be employed and you will get raises. You would say, how is that possible? But it's a dream. It's truly unfathomable, man. We're going to talk about Tua here coming up in a second. But this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. So simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you could pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Devon Achane, rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns? Well, now you can, all in the same lineup, only on PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. My entry for Monday Night Football: more than Bijan Robinson rushing attempts, less than Keon Coleman receiving yards, more than Caleb Williams interceptions, and more than Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt touchdowns. Feel very good about this Monday Night Football. 2 games tonight for player entry. Like I said, join PrizePicks today. We have to segue from the head coach and GM to the quarterback because Tua cannot escape blame. We talked about Tua and his comments yesterday evening. Late Sunday night video. I hope you guys watched it. We're going to touch on it again. Because Tua, the captain of this team, the quarterback one of the team, the highest paid player on the team, called out the locker room after the game, saying that we have guys showing up to player online meetings late, guys not showing up to player-only meetings. There's so much to dissect here. I do want to dispel a theory out there that Tua did not take any of the blame or hold himself accountable in any way after the game. That is not true. He said that he can't turn the ball over. He said that he didn't play well. And he said that the Dolphins aren't going to win when he plays like that. But when you call out your teammates and locker room about not being accountable and not showing up to meetings, to the media, that is as mind-boggling as it gets. That is as incompetent as it gets. And the entire world is now seeing Tua and the Miami Dolphins for who they are. A dysfunctional, insecure, poorly run franchise and player. Like, the amount of media and former players that have come out of the woodworks to bash Tua and the Dolphins is honestly insane. I couldn't keep a list long enough to show you guys. So I wanted to show just 10. You have Hall of Famers, former quarterbacks, former general managers, former and current legendary media members. Ian Rappaport, Kurt Warner, Jeff Darlington, all dissing Tua, all saying that this is brutal, this is Bush League, and in no world should a player ever do what Tua just did. I don't even think Patrick Mahomes would do something like this. And if there was a quarterback in the NFL that could do this and get away with it, it would be him, because he is the most successful quarterback in the league right now. Kurt Warner on Tua summed it up pretty well. Being a pro means you have a standard that you hold yourself accountable to. To blame someone else for your lack of professionalism is a cop-out. But I actually like Emmanuel Acho's answer more. They're not showing up because they don't respect you, Tua. They're not showing up because they don't believe in you, Tua. And then Tua's fed up. You know what? I tend to agree with them all. I have not seen a single quote, take, tweet about Tua and the Dolphins since the quote in the game that I don't agree with. it's embarrassing from Tua what he did yesterday. And it may very well be 100% true. But you simply do not do what he just did. Because now the fracture in the locker room will just continue to grow. And if it's not already grown to a point where it's broken, it is going to break very soon. What are your thoughts on what Tua said after yesterday's loss? I'm going to round out the video here in a second, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll make the same point I just briefly made. Everything Tua said about players showing up to the media or meetings late very well might be true. But you do not air out your teammates to the media. You just simply do not. And the fact that it is your quarterback, your highest paid player, a captain doing all of this, just adds to the level of dysfunction. I think Tua lives in an insecure bubble. I do. I think Tua lives in a bubble in his own head to where he thinks he is so hot shit and untouchable. I got news for you, Tua. You fucking suck. Could I do his job? No. Could he do my job? Probably. But you have not done anything to a level that warrants the ability to do what you think you can do to the media and in this locker room. Ever since he got paid, he has been a different person. He went from a humble, young guy, young kid, to an arrogant, insecure, feeble quarterback. He needs to go. It all starts with those three. It is a head coach quarterback league. Simply put, when you have a good head coach and a good quarterback, you will win football games. When you do not, you will be bad. The Dolphins are bad because they have a bad quarterback, they have a bad head coach, and it's magnified by the rest of the shitty roster that was built by a bad GM. That'll do it for this episode. We'll be back later today live in with another video. If you want more on the Miami Dolphins, I'm pissed. I'm done. I'm tired. We'll shoot it straight and tell you how I'm feeling. That's why you subscribe to the channel.